Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third race in the sixth day of the FIVE Sailplane Grand Prix 2026. With us, Rodrigo Lavanderos.
Hello, everybody. This is our sixth day in Vitacura Sailplane Grand Prix. Now we are broadcasting from our airfield. Now we can see in the screen how the pilots are crossing the start line. Okay, hello again. This is Rodrigo Lavanderos from Vitacura Airfield in Chile. Now we're broadcasting the 6-day race number 3. For today, the director give the pilots a short task. Okay, here we are again. A short task at 284 kilometers. The first turn point is Central at 59 kilometers north, and then they need to go to the northwest to Sanatorio turn point at 38 kilometers northwest. Then go to north 23 kilometers north to Mochico turn point, then go back south at 98 kilometers south to Yerba Loca, close to Santiago and close to the ski camps, and then go to south to Las Vizcachas turn point at 37 kilometers, and then 3K and finish line at Vitacura. The weather for today is cloudy as practically all days in the week, but there are conditions to make the race. The pilots will have the chance to find some thermals and fly ridges to complete the task. So the El Nino condition in the Pacific Ocean producing a lot of humidity in the sea and in the inside valleys of Chile in this area of the country that produce that conditions, but the pilots will try to complete the task. They are very, very good pilots. We have Thomas Gosner from Italy, Jürgen Wenzel from Germany, Ginta Suev from Lithuania, and Chilean pilots are Carlos Roca, of course, René Vidal, Arturo Diez, Nicolás Becerra. Well, now they are flying straight ahead to Los Potreros area. This is a very good place to find thermals and try to gain altitude to continue the task. I will show you on the screen the area of Los Potreros. This is the area. The pilots normally try to gain altitude in this area and then go to the next hotspot called El Laboratorio. As in the last task, we see all the pilots try to gain altitude in this area and then go back to north. Nicolas Becerra now is further than the rest of the pack in Los Potreros area and wait for the next of the pilots, what they will do to gain altitude. Remember, this is a race task, and the first pilot across the final line will win the competition. I have a doubt about Nicolas Becerra. I will show you the track of Nicolas to check if he started the line or not. Let's check the Nicolas Becerra track. And we're going back to the screen. Becerra, okay. Let's check if he started the line. Yes, he started the line at this point. Okay, he started the task with the rest of the pack. Now he's flying in Los Potreros. Okay, Nicolas is on the competition. Let's check the rest of the pack. Okay, Thomas Gostner apparently is leading the pack, and probably they will try to gain altitude in this area. Let's check the altitude of Thomas Gostner. He's at 1,500 meters. It's quite low to find thermals, so probably they are trying to fly this ridge. Probably they will try to fly this ridge and gain altitude here. As I told you, we have a cloudy day. Probably there are not good thermals. Probably they will find very weak conditions to fly, but the director thinks it's good enough to make the task. So we will see. Okay, as I told you, Thomas is trying to reach this area, el laboratorio. This is el laboratorio sur, and this is laboratorio norte, south laboratory and north laboratory. This is a very good place to gain altitude. in the south and in the north area. Probably Thomas is trying to reach very fast this area and try to gain altitude and then cross to north to the first point Central at 59 kilometers from Vitacura, from the start line. Well, the rest of the pack is flying north too. There are some changes in the who's leading the pack. Arturo Diaz is flying here, but there are another strategy that is try to gain altitude in this ridge. In this ridge, it's another strategy to gain altitude here and then cross to El Laboratorio, or simply cross try head to El Maraco to north. Okay, Arturo is following this strategy. Probably the altitude of Arturo and Thomas is not good enough to cross this line and try to fly here. They need at least 1,500 meters to fly this area. Let's check the altitude of Arturo Diaz. He's flying in a Ventus V, a little slower than Ventus 2 of the rest of the competitors. But in weak conditions, could be the chance to gain altitude easier than the Ventus. They are full of water, probably. Well, they have 1,400 meters, not enough to go direct to the laboratory, and they are trying to gain altitude in this area. In Chicureo, the club is owner of another airfield. It's a grass airfield in this area, so the flight here is very safe. It's very safe. They all the time they have the chance to land here in a very good grass airfield, grass runway in this airfield. Okay, let's check the rest of the pack. Arturo is still trying to gain altitude here with Thomas Kostner. Nicolas Becerra is flying very close to Santa Martina. Okay, Santa Martina is a golf camp here. It's a very exclusive golf camp in the mountains. He's trying to gain altitude here. And the rest of the pack is still flying in a Manquehue. So with the refresh of the screen, we can see that René Vidal, Ginta Sube, Alex Chanes, and Jürgen Wenzel crossed the Manquehue Hill and then to Los Potreros area. Apparently, there are not good conditions, and probably the thermals are very weak in this area. So the task is relatively short for this kind of competition, but with this weather, will transform in a very tricky task. So we will see who will cross to the next valley first, and probably making a good distance difference. The first pilot will have a chance to reach the first point faster than the rest. There are not significant changes in the pack. They are still flying in Chicureo Valley. Here is the Chicureo airfield. The club is owner of this airfield, is the owner, and the club, the Chicureo airfield has a grass runway, so all the flying in this valley is very safe. I'm drawing now the reaches of the valley. This is the area, and normally there are south wind or southwest wind. This is the normal wind condition, southwest. Okay, so the challenge is cross to the next valley, to Chacabuco Valley, and then cross to the first turn point Central. So they need to gain altitude and try to cross to the next valley. Um, for considering the altitude of the pilots, 1400 meters, they will not try to go to El Laboratorio, and probably they will try to go to straight ahead to El Maraco Hill. This is Termas de Colina, okay? Here is the El Maraco. This ridge is called El Maraco. This is the El Maraco Hill. Okay, as we presume, Arturo Diaz is crossing direct to El Maraco, trying to probably gain altitude in this area. Let's check the altitude of Arturo. Normally with, I presume, 15 or 1600 meters is good enough to cross to the next valley, to La Trucha in the Chacabuco Valley. This is the Chacabuco Valley, and there are another airfield here in this point. In this point, there are another airfield called Chacabuco. Let's check the name of this point. Chacabuco Pista, okay? This is in Spanish. Chacabuco Pista means Chacabuco runway in English. Okay, the way is very clear. Considering the condition of the day, they are trying to gain altitude in this point and then go to El Maraco and then go to La Trucha, cross this valley, and the next step probably will be cross to Las Lagunas. Let's check this. Okay, Valle Lagunas, okay. Probably they will try to cross to El Maraco. This is the first point, the first ridge, sorry. This is the first ridge. Then they will try to go to La Trucha in this point. This is the second step. And then cross to Las Lagunas hill. It's a very good spot, hot spot. This is the third step. I presume this is the way that they will follow. Let's see how the pilots decide what's the best considering the conditions of the day. Arturides is still flying this point. Let's check the altitude. 1400 meters, approximately at, okay, almost online. Yes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes of delay. And let's check Thomas Kostner, where he is flying. Thomas Kostner, and Kostner. Here we have Thomas Kostner. Okay, he's still flying this area, this ridge, at the north of the Chicureo Valley. He has 1400 meters. And I saw Alex Chanes trying to cross to north. Let's check Alex, what he's doing. Alejandro Chanes, Alejandro El Flaco Chanes. He's a master of gliding in Chile. He knows the mountains very, very well, and he's trying to do the strategy that I told you. He's crossing at 1500 meters, higher than the rest of the pack, and he will try to do uh, the strategy that I explained to you. He will try to fly this area. You need to cross at 1900 meters, very good altitude to cross this ridge to La Trucha, and then follow this ridge to El Cobre, but probably they will try to cross direct to Las Lagunas or surround El Cobre and then cross to Las Lagunas. Let's see what Alejandro Chanes will try to do. René Vidal is flying here. Let's check the altitude of René. He's flying at 1700 meters. Yeah, he's higher than the rest of the pilots, and he's effectively trying to fly in a laboratorio. It's a different strategy. So, as we can see, they crossed. Let's try ahead. Probably he decided to cross the valley following the other competitors, Alejandro Chanes and Gintasue. Let's check the altitude of Gintas. Gintas is at 1400 meters, a little lower than René. It's very interesting to analyze what Alejandro Chanes is doing now. Normally, the way to north is follow the ridges, follow this ridge. This is the normal. But Alejandro is flying at the western position of this ridge. Probably they are trying to fly in some thermals in the valley, and that maybe means there are not enough lift in the ridges, probably due to low speed of the wind, and they are okay. We're back again. We were talking about the strategy of the pilots. Um, the, they are flying at the western position about the normal way. This ridge is the normal way, but they are flying in this area. Let's check the altitude of Alejandro Chanes. It's at 1,300 meters. It's a little. Mientras más al norte nos vayamos, sí, de hecho ya no sé. Cuando haga el cambio con Alfonso, trata de sacarnos. Porque ahí van a estar bien al norte y no se van a ver.
Claro. Ahí, ya. rojo.
Okay, now we are back. As I told you, they are flying now in Chacabuco Valley. This valley is surrounded by these ridges. The next point, the first turn point, is Central. This is Central. They need to cross these ridges to Las Lagunas hotspot. This is Las Lagunas. Here is Las Laguna. And then go to first turn point, Central. Let's check the turn point to be sure. Yes, Central. This is the first turn point. Ginta Sube, Alex Chanes, and Carlos Roca are flying close to El Cobre at a very low altitude, probably trying to gain altitude here and cross to Las Lagunas in this pass, probably. That is, in my opinion, the strategy they are trying to do. So, René Vidal is flying at a conservative way, and he is gaining altitude here in La Trucha. Let's check the altitude of Carlos Roca. He is now at 1,300 meters. And René Vidal is flying now at 2,300 meters. It's very interesting because René is waiting. He did not cross the Colina River very fast as the rest of the competitors. He is flying now at 1,000 meters above the rest, and probably use the patience and gain enough altitude to cross to the next point, probably in this direction, to Las Lagunas. This is a very good hotspot. I think this is a strategy. Or René will follow the ridge of the Chacabuco Valley, and he will cross in this point, or will continue and cross in this point. Probably this will be the strategy of René. I don't know, but I presume. The other pilots are flying in Chacabuco Valley. I remember this here is located the Chacabuco airfield. It's very interesting because they decided to fly very fast to El Cobre, crossing the valley, and cross here. This was the decision of Quinta Sube, Carlos Roca, and Alex Chanes. And René Vidal decided René decided to stay here and gain altitude until 2,000 meters, and then use another ridge called Las Catedrales. This is very interesting because I presume he will follow these ridges It's a long way to Las Lagunas, but considering the weak conditions of today, he will try to follow this ridge and arrive to Las Lagunas at a very good altitude, maybe 1900 meters or 2000 meters. And that he will be in a very good position to try to go to the next, to the first turn point. Let's take again the altitude of Navidad. Jürgen Benzel is landed now here in Vitacura. Probably he could not find any thermal and decide to go back to Vitacura. Okay, let's go back to the rest of the pack. As I told you, René Vidal did a very good decision flying in La Trucha in a very conservative way, and now he is using the altitude gained here, and he will try to follow the ridge probably to Las Lagunas. If he is if he can do that, probably he will be in a very good position to reach the first turn point. The rest of the pack now is flying in this area, in Chacabuco Valley, trying to gain altitude to cross the ridge. I remember you, this valley of Chacabuco is surrounded of ridges, very high ridges. This is the Chacabuco Valley. And the pilots need to gain altitude and then cross to the Las Lagunas Valley. You need at least 1700 meters, better 2000 meters. That was the strategy of René Vidal. Let's check the altitude of René. He's at 2400 meters. Very good altitude. He's flying in a very conservative way, and he's doing a very good strategy now. Let's check the altitude of the rest of the pack, especially Quinta Sube now is 1200 meters. It's not good enough altitude to cross to Central, so maybe he will try to cross in this point. This is a very risky strategy. It's very risky strategy because if Gintas, if he's thinking to cross the ridges in this point, let me show you. Probably, if he tried to cross the ridge in this point, he will be in a not very good position to reach the first turn point, because here normally there are wind from we have wind from the south, and Normally, here, find this area, good lift. Here, normally, there are good lift. But in this pass, there are strong descendant and rotors. It's not way to go north, normally. Depends the wind, of course. And if he decide to do this way, he will have as a chance the Los Andes airfield to land if he is not able to gain altitude enough to reach the next point. In Los Andes, there are a very good airfield here in this point. In this point is Los Andes airfield. So strategy could be cross very fast, then go to Los Andes Hill, and then go to Las Lagunas, and then go to the first turn point, Central. It's a very, very hard way, but I don't know who is thinking Gintas. I think the best is try to gain altitude here and cross in this point. I think it's the best, but he need here at least 1700 meters to cross to Las Lagunas. Okay, now we are waiting for the refresh of the screen. And this is the Sailplane Grand Prix in Vitacura, Chile 2016. Now we are in the 6th day, race number 3. This is a 284 kilometers task. The first point is Central. Today, considering the clouds and the lack of temperature, it's a tricky day. There are part of the pack to decide go very fast to El Cobre and then cross to Vitacura, and he could not find enough thermals and lifts, and they are in troubles. Carlos Roca apparently is very close or landed in Los Andes. Alejandro Chanes is go back to Vitacura, I don't know. Gintasube is trying to fly in here in these reaches. And René Vidal flying as a conservative way, gain enough altitude to cross to Los Andes. Thomas Kostner is still flying here. Let's check the altitude of René Vidal. He's flying at 2200 meters, enough altitude to continue flying to Las Lagunas and then go to the first turn point. Let's check the altitude of René Vidal, sorry, the Carlos Roca. He's now at 600 meters and speed 0 kilometers per hour. That means landed. Carlos Roca is landed now in Los Andes. Sorry, Carlos. The next of the group, Ginta Sube, is trying to climb these ridges. He's at 1400 meters. It's not enough to cross to Las Lagunas, but depends the ability and the patience of the pilot. He probably will gain altitude and cross to next point. He's still in the race, and let's check Thomas Gostner. Thomas Gostner is at 1800 meter and better than Quinta Sube. He read the day and better than the other competitors as René Vidal, and he keep altitude, and probably he's flying very weak condition, but is gaining altitude, and in next minutes probably he will try to cross to the Los Andes. Sorry, to Las Lagunas. And let's check the leader of the pack, René Vidal. He crossed the Las Lagunas Valley, and now he is at 2200 meters. That's very good. He keep the altitude, and he's follow the strategy that we sought. He's flying in a conservative way, keep the altitude, and he's trying to fly surround the ridges to the next point, to Las Lagunas. Sorry, the draw is incorrect. He flies around the ridges, long way, but is more safe from the altitude point of view, and probably he will try to gain altitude here and then go to the first turn point. This is the strategy followed by René, and at this moment is the best of the day. Probably Thomas Gostner will try to do the same. Okay, Thomas Gostner is at 1700 meters, is lower than 5 minutes ago. We don't know if he will try to cross to Las Lagunas. He's at the limit, probably to cross to Las Lagunas. I think it's very recommended to cross with at least 2,000 meters to Las Lagunas, thinking in the weak conditions of the day. Let's check the rest of the pack. Carlos Roca is now landed in Chacabuco airfield, and Ginta Sube is still on race. He is at 1,600 meters. He is gaining altitude minute by minute. It's very good news for Gintas. These are very good news for Gintas. As I told you, he have the chance to cross in this direction to the Los Andes Valley. It's not advisable do this way, but maybe today could be a good idea considering the altitude, because this way there are very strong descendants here, and normally the pilots who decide go to follow this way, finally land in Los Andes. Here is Los Andes airfield. But it's a very tricky way, but Gintasu is a very good pilot. I don't know what will be the final decision of Gintas. He need at least 2,000, maybe 2,200 meters to cross to Las Lagunas in this way. This is the best. But we don't know what he's thinking. Let's wait for to observe the Gintas movements. Well, let's check where René Vidal is flying. He's still flying here at 2,400 meters. Probably he's trying to gain altitude to go to Las Lagunas. This is Las Lagunas area, and probably he will try to gain altitude here in Las Lagunas and then go to the first turn point. Let's check what René is doing. Yes, he's flying thermals here in this area. This is Las Lagunas Valley. This is Las Lagunas Valley. And normally, they have north wind here. This is the direction of the wind from northwest wind. Okay, let's check the altitude of René. $2,200 meters is enough to continue the race. Let's check the rest of the pack. Carlos Roca is landed now in Chacabuco Airfield. Jürgen Wenzel is landed now in Vitacura. Alex Chanes is going back to Vitacura. Nicolás Becerra is still in Chicureo. Oh, let me check where is Nicolás Becerra. I think he's landed in Chicureo. Let's check what the situation of Nicolás Becerra. Yes, Nicolás Becerra is landed in Chicureo. And Arturo Díez, he's already landed in Vitacura. In Chicureo too. As we know, this is a very quick condition day. And we have still flying René Vidal, Thomas Costner, Guinta Sube y Alex Chanes. Well, Guinta Sube is still flying in the Chacabuco Valley, very close to the airfield. Oh, good news for Gintas. He's now at 2,400 meters. He's probably he found a good thermal, and he's flying, still flying, and probably he will cross to the Las Lagunas Valley in the next minutes. He need at least 22 or 23 meters to cross to Las Lagunas, and probably he found a good thermal and is gaining altitude to cross safely than at a lower altitude. Let's check Thomas Costner. He's at 1,900 meters. Not enough to cross. And probably he will cross in the next minute, but I don't know if he will have enough altitude to continue the task. Probably depends the wind and the lift that he will find go to Los Andes Airfield. I don't know. Let's check René Vidal. René Vidal. René Vidal now is at 2,000 meters. Crosses to Democoen. Let's check what he's doing. Here is the first turn point, and René surrounded Las Lagunas, a very good hot spot, but he continued flying to north. Probably he will try to gain altitude in this point. This is Democoen. Correcto, right? This is Democoen. Probably he will try to gain altitude in this point. As I told you, Central is a very tricky point because there are a lot of descendants around the point. So how the pilot reach the point depend how he will continue the race. And looking for the fly of René, probably he will try to follow this bridge to El Democoen, then gain altitude here in Democoen East, and then attack the turn point. I think it could be the strategy. I don't know. Okay, now I'm back. This is the Sailplane Grand Prix in Vitacura, Chile, 2016. We have today a task for day 6, task number 3. It's 284 kilometers. The first point is Central at 59 kilometers from Vitacura, from the start line. We have now landed in Vitacura Jürgen Wenzel, and Chicureo is landed Arturo Díez and Nicolás Becerra, and in Chacabuco Airfield is landed Carlos Roca. Now still is flying René Vidal, Ginta Sube, and Thomas Gostner. We have poor conditions for today, produced by El Niño influence in the Pacific Ocean, that produce a high humidity in the valleys of Santiago. So, looking for the west, we see a very blue day at the west to the coast, and very strong cumulus. So we are thinking that if René, Thomas, and Gintas keep flying until 5 p.m., the conditions will improve in the Los Andes Valley. So that depends the weather and the ability of the pilots to keep flying. So René Vidal is now at 1,600 meters. He didn't the first turn point. Probably the weak conditions of the day did not have enough energy to René to climb in Las Lagunas and then go to the first point. Let's make a zoom in to observe what it's doing, René. I presume he's flying close to Los Andes. Here is Los Andes Airfield. And René tried to gain altitude here, but he continued north toward the Mocoen. He tried to gain altitude here and then continue to north, and he's flying in the valley of Los Andes. Bad news for René. And the rest of the pack, where they are flying. Ginta Sube is still in Chacabuco Valley, so he crossed to Las Lagunas, as we presume. Let's check the altitude of Gintas. He's at very good altitude. It's 2,500 meters. Yes, he's best position than 10 minutes ago. He crossed to Las Lagunas. Probably the strategy of Gintas will be climb here in Las Lagunas and then go to the next point, the first turn point, Central. But it will depend how will be the condition of Las Lagunas. And Thomas Gostner. Thomas is flying at 1,600 meters. It's not good altitude to reach the first turn point. And probably he will try to climb here or in the Mocoen, and he's not successful. He will land in Los Andes. Let's go back to René Vidal. He's flying to Los Andes airfield. He's at 1,300 meters. I think it's the end of the race for today for René. And we have only two pilots flying, Ginta Sube and Thomas Gosner. The European pilots are showing us how to fly in weak conditions. So I don't know if they have enough altitude to reach the first point. Thomas Gosner is still at 1,600 meters. And Gintas Sube, Gintas is from Lithuania, is at 2,300 meters. Okay, René is already landed in Los Andes. To be safe, let's check the spider. It's very close to Los Andes airfield. Los Andes. Yes, we have only two competitors still on the race, Thomas and Gintas Sube. Thomas apparently decided to go direct to Los Andes. He's now at 1,500 meters. And Gintas, the only competitor still on race, is at 2,300 meters, lower than a few minutes ago. Let's wait for the behavior of Gintas to know what will be his decision about the landing Los Andes or continue on the race. René Vidal is landed now in Los Andes. Carlos Roca is landed in Chacabuco. Arturo Díez and Nicolás Becerra landed in Chicureo. Only Ginta Sube still flying. Now he's at 2,200 meters, trying to reach the first turn point, Central. Let's move in to observe the flight of Quintas. As I told you, this is a very tricky turn point. The pilot need a good altitude to reach the point and go back to the hotspot. So let's observe what Quintas is doing. Um, he's now approximately at 8 or 9 kilometers from the first turn point. Okay, now Gintas is trying to reach the first turn point. He's at 2,200 meters. It's a good altitude to reach the point and back to Las Lagunas, but I don't know if he has enough altitude to continue the task. Well, Quintasue is now reaching the point, the first turn point of Central. The altitude is 100 meters. Um, Probably he will try to go back to Las Lagunas to gain altitude again. He will try probably follow the same bridge that he used to reach the first point, and here try to climb. Uh, uh, the other way is probably try to cross direct to the Mogoen and then have the chance to land in Los Andes is if he has not enough altitude to continue the task. That means fly to this ridge, try to climb and continue, or go to Los Andes. Let's observe what Gintas is doing. Now we are follow the race with spider track devices. They give us the chance to follow the race with 1 minute frequency. Okay, Gintas did the first turn point, Central, and now he is flying at 2,000 meters, trying to reach the next bridge. the Mocoen. Probably he will try to follow this ridge and try to climb here. That will be probably the next steps of Gintas. Today was a very weak, very poor conditions day. Um, High humidity in the air. We have high clouds, and the sun is, we don't know where is the sun. So if we look to the west, we can see blue sky and strong cumulus. But in the central valley of Santiago, and so in the high mountains, there's no any thermal or cumulus. Gintasue is still flying. He's the only competitor in the air now. Um, he's now at 1900 meters. Um, I don't know if he will try to continue the task. So he's in very good position to decide here in the Mocoen to make decisions about continue task, gaining altitude in this ridge, or finally decide to land in Los Andes.
Okay, good afternoon. This is Alfonso Soto speaking, the director of the contest. And as Rodrigo was explaining before, we have a very, very difficult day. Now it's completely covered with high clouds. And at the north part, in the sector of Los Andes, we still have one glider flying, which is Gintas Sube, right now at 1800 meters. He already made the first point, And if he is able to continue a little north, he will probably be able to complete the task because on the north part it's getting anyway some more heat in the afternoon, so he could get the enough heat to complete the task. So let's see in a few minutes what Saginta Sube is doing really. And the other ones are all landed. Uh, René Vidal and Thomas Gosner are landed in Los Andes. Uh, is what I'm showing now here. This is Los Andes. And Carlos Roca and is landed in Chacabuco. Let's see the whole picture. See that Vidal and Gosner are landed in Los Andes. Roca is landed in Chacabuco. And Jürgen Benzel and Arturo Diaz are and, landed in Vitacura. Chanes is also, he came back to Vitacura. And Nicolas Becerra was landed in, together with Arturo Diaz in Chicureo, and they are already back in Vitacura. So the only one that is still flying is Ginta Sube, and we will follow his flight to see what he's being able to do. He is now at 1700 meters in the area of Democoin. And from there, he will have to make a very hard decision. Depending on the altitude that he gets there, he will be able to continue south, or to continue north, or come back southwest to land in Los Andes. Uh, on the last refresh, he was at 1800 meters, and now he is at 1667. So he is lower now, and probably will happen to him the same as Vidal, that he was flying earlier on the same area, and from there he went to land in Los Andes airfield. So let's wait now for the next refresh, and we will see what's going on with Gintas Sube.
Despachado.
Okay, I'm waiting for the next refresh. It's coming to see what's going on with Gintas. Okay. He left the Democoin area to continue north, but he is now at 1563 meters, and he is in the direction of Piedras Blancas. He has just arrived to the ridge, which is this ridge. This is the ridge of Piedras Blancas, and probably he will intend to follow the ridge to get high enough here to continue north. So we will see what will be his decision in the next refresh. In the meantime, we have been organizing all the rescues for the pilot that has landed outside in some other airfields. I was saying before that we have two gliders landed in Los Andes and one landed in Chacabuco. The other ones are already in Vitacura. So we are just going with the tow planes to that airfields to rescue the pilots that are landed there. And we see that Gintas Sube now, he didn't find anything on the ridge of Piedras Blancas, and he decided to start going south at 1,465 meters. So he will probably also decided to go to Los Andes to land together with René Vidal and Thomas Gosner. We will just wait for the next refresh to see if that decision is to go to Los Andes. Okay, now we can see that Ginta Sube is also at 1,300 meters going to land in Los Andes. So for today, the game is over. We have everybody going to land it or going to land, in this case, the Ginta Sube, and nobody completed the task of the day. The met conditions were worse than expected, and during the afternoon, the cloudiness was very heavy at high altitudes, and that means that we didn't have enough heating on the on the ridges to complete the task. The analysis in the morning was that we're going to have cloudiness, but not so heavy during the afternoon. So, that's what has been happening with the Nino effect during this summer. Has been very, very difficult to predict the the conditions for the day, and the other days we couldn't fly or we set up a task that was completed. But today, because of the met conditions were going to be better, we set up a 280 kilometers task as a task B. The task A was 330. The task B was 280, thinking that was going to be a task to be completed. But the met didn't uh, happen that way. So we will see what happens tomorrow. It seems that the conditions for tomorrow will be a little better, and for Saturday better again. So we will see what happens tomorrow, and I'll see you tomorrow with the information of the another race day. Goodbye.